Welcome back to our mini video series introducing some of the concepts that we'll be learning at intermission sessions and retreat. I'm Elena Uriosti.
I'm Melissa White.
And this is one of our lovely yoga instructors, Tiffany. She led us through some really wonderful exercises and stretches to do before we practice, after we practice, really any time of day. And I think we're going to pick up where we left off, standing.
Yep, that's correct. So this next video is going to be a little bit shorter one that goes through the 5 of the foundational poses that you will see in pretty much any typical vinyasa class. So we'll start with tadasana, and then we'll move forward into a forward fold, move into a lunge, plank, down dog, stuff like that. And this is what would normally be called a Surya Namaskar if you take any vinyasa classes. You can add lots of variations. This one's going to stay pretty basic, but we'll break them down, give you the very key points that are necessary in order to maintain strength and stability, and just make sure you have a really safe foundation from which to build any posture on from there. We do have some blocks here that one of the ladies is going to use. If you have a block, that's fine. You can always take a towel, roll it up, make it really nice and tight. Melissa, I'm going to give you the roll. Elena, I'm going to give you one of the blocks. And then go ahead and come to your mat if you have one. Anywhere on your mat is fine. We're going to start with what is called tadasana, and it's going to be a stacking pose. So the first thing you're going to do is take either your roll or your block, and you're going to stick that as far up between your inner thighs as is comfortable. So Elena has the half blocks. If you've got a wider block, that's okay. It's really just going to depend on the block size. And what this is going to do is it's going to keep your legs in a nice parallel shape. But what we want to do is look down at your feet and find your second toe. And what I want you to do is from your second toe to the center of your ankle, make sure that those two lines of your feet are parallel. From there, lift up all 10 toes. And so what that's going to do is we want to lift all 10 toes up as much as you can and feel there's going to be 3 main points of contact here. The ball of the big toe, the ball of the pinky toe, and think about the very center of your heel. So you've got what we call the tripod of the feet. I'll show you right here on my foot. Ball of the big toe, ball of the pinky toe, center of the heel. So those are going to be the main points of contact. So lift up the toes just to feel that kind of points get heavier into your mat. And then you'll also notice there's a slight energetic lift of the inner arch. So think of that inner arch staying lifted if you can, and then softly let your toes come back to the mat without just kind of flopping the feet to the floor. Soften the toes, relax them, but keep that inner arch lift if you're able to. From here, what we want is to have a very slight bend in the knees if you tend to hyperextend. That's going to create a little bit of engagement through the legs. Squeeze the block, hugging with the inner thighs, and I want you to think ever so slightly as you hug the block in. Think about like you're going to pop the block out behind you. So it's a slight internal rotation of the upper thighs. Keep the knees bent, and now see if what you can do is add at the bottom leg from the knee down, add a little bit of, it's not going to be external rotation, but think about the outer calves rolling back. So you should feel this kind of spiral action of the legs. Does that make sense, ladies? Are you able to feel that?
I think so.
Okay. It's a lot going on, so if you can't, it's okay. But these are just kind of some foundational energetic actions that are happening in tadasana. Usually you pass through it relatively quickly, so you might have the first time you come onto your mat, you can set yourself up in this pose, feel your feet, draw the energy up, find these spiral actions, and then move on to your practice from there. So going up the body, again, hug the block, inner thighs roll back, outer calves roll back, arches are lifted, toes are soft, tripod of the foot. From here, neutral pelvis. So just think about your pelvis. It's kind of shaped like a bowl. We're not going to tilt water out in front. We're not going to pour water out back. glutes, the bum, widen the glutes out. So think about, that is also going to help with the internal rotation slightly of the thighs. Widen the glutes out and keep them relatively soft. Now we're going to move up the rib cage, back of the rib cage, the lower ribs. Elaine, I'm actually going to have you turn to the sides so that people can see where I'm pointing. Back of the rib cage here. Widen that out. Imagine somebody had their hand on the sides of your rib cage. Widen that area out. Good. And then try not, it's going to want to come from the shoulders. Try to keep the shoulders just soft and relaxed. Back of the rib cage is widened, is widening, front of the rib cage stays down. Oftentimes when we try to get taller, we tend to tilt. So front ribs in, back ribs broad. Relax the hands, relax the shoulders, collarbones open, wide. Imagine, this is going to be another thing that's just very energetic, but think about if somebody had their hands on the sides of your shoulders. Can you widen the heads of your humerus, this is your upper arm bone, out to the side? So it's like you're pushing against the sides of, if you were like stuck between a door frame. So Melissa here is pushing out into my hand. Not a lot is going to happen, but energetically she's just expanding the canister of her core. So we've got our pelvic bowl, we've got our wide rib cage, 360 degrees, front ribs down, back ribs wide, collarbones are wide, shoulder blades are just floating on the rib cage. From here, think about ever so slightly chin in towards the back of the throat so that the back of the neck can be lifting nice and long. And then just like somebody's got a string lifting straight up. Now at the same time you're trying to go up, can you keep your connection and your groundedness down into your feet? It's a lot. It's a lot, but here's a great thing that we call stacking. So again, this is a thing to set up, beginning of your practice. As many things as you can remember come back to you anytime your teacher says tadasana, and this is how we start, Surya Namaskar A. So we're going to move on from here, which will require you to break that tadasana for a moment. Ladies, go ahead and take the blocks out. And you can just set them down on the floor, and your roll you can put wherever. And then let's come to the front of your mat. So find that tadasana as best as you can. Imagine you have all of those energies hugging. You've got the inner arches lifting. You've got the outer calves rolling back, inner thighs rolling back. Glutes are wide. Pelvis is neutral. Back ribs are wide. Front ribs are in, humerus is pressing out, collarbones broad, and the head is just floating above all of that. Okay, from here, keep the body as it is, but reach your arms up and overhead. And you can bring them to a prayer. We won't be too particular about that, or you can keep them shoulder width. That's your choice. Notice if the front ribs jut out. That's the biggest thing. Keep those front ribs smooth. Keep your pelvis as neutral as you comfortably can. And then just go ahead and look up and take your arms slightly forward so that you can see them and you don't have to hyperextend the neck too much. Take a nice big full breath in here. And then just as you breathe out, arms go back down by your side and just bring your chin to your chest. This is just warming up the neck and the arms a little bit more. And then again, inhale, lift the arms up overhead. Keep the feet rooted, look up. If you want to bring the hands to prayer, you can do that. And then exhale, arms by your side, chin back to your chest. And just one more time, inhale, you'll lift the arms up overhead. Maybe again they touch, maybe not. And exhale, arms come by your side. Okay, so after the arms come down by your side, the way that we're going to get into our next pose, which is a forward fold, is by a roll down. So this is going to start at the head, but we're going to prepare that first by bending the knees. Bend the knees and just like let your weight drop. Really feel the firmness of your feet. And then imagine your spine is like a bicycle chain. You know how one chain moves the next, move the next, the very smooth, very fluid type of motion. Start by top of the head is what leads the way. So keep the knees bent, tuck your chin into your chest, and very, very, very slowly, one vertebrae at a time, begin to roll down. The motion comes from the crown of your head. Very, very nice. So you can really think as you get halfway down, front ribs draw in, back ribs stay broad. Keep the knees bent as long as you need to. Go down as far as you feel comfortable. Eventually let the head hang. Unless you can bend your knees a little bit more, actually. Good. And then maybe, this will depend on the flexibility of your hamstrings. Maybe the legs start to straighten, or maybe they stay bent. Personally, as I've gone deeper into my practice, I actually keep my legs fairly bent in this pose because it no longer becomes about stretching the hamstrings. It becomes about there's other therapeutic benefits in forward fold. But it's as you feel comfortable. So forward fold here, let the head hang. Really think about lengthening the back of the neck. Tripod of the feet, don't forget about that. A lot of times the weight shifts way back into the heels. So just notice if your hips are moving far back. If they are, that's okay. Just move a little bit more weight forward into those front 2 points. Really nice, ladies. And now we're just going to reverse this. So we're going to do a roll up. It starts with, again, dropping the weight. So bend the knees, put the weight into the tripod of the feet. Start with the tailbone this time. Keep your chin into your chest. Oftentimes that wants to lead. So tailbone goes down, pull your low belly up, press your back ribs wide, chin to the chest, chin to the chest, chin to the chest. The very last thing is to lift the head up. Shoulders can roll back if that feels good. And then again, roll down, bend the knees, drop your weight, belly in, start with crown of the head. You can do this as slow as you want. You can stop every few vertebrae and really feel where you're stuck. Maybe you have chunks of vertebrae that move together. Maybe not. Maybe you've got more fluidity in the spine. Everybody is different. When you get down, you can hang out for 1 to 5 to however many breaths you want. When you're ready, start with the feet. That's your foundation because that is what is having contact to the floor. Find the floor, bend your knees, roll up, reversing the process. So keep your chin tucked in, pull the navel in. You should feel some engagement in the core. You'll come all the way back up. And then one more time, we'll stay down and move on from there. So when you're ready, start with the foundation, bend the knees, drop your weight, lead from the crown of your head. Again, your bicycle chain, one thing moves at a time. Think about widening the knees out ever so slightly if they tend to come in towards one another. Good, ladies. So here's forward fold. From this forward bend, we're going to come into a flat back. It's just kind of a transition pace where we'll take a breath in. So 2 options. I'm going to have Melissa straighten her legs as much as she feels comfortable and put her hands on her shins. She's going to tent her fingertips and come into a flat back. So arms will go straight, draw the front ribs in here. So go ahead and stay, keep your hands. So she doesn't know what we're doing, so this is really, really good. Hands are going to stay on the shins. Keep the weight forward as much as you can. Keep the slight bend in the knees, just so that they don't hyperextend. And then flat back means the neck is also flat. So a lot of times what people do in a flat back is they look forward. That's not what we want. We want to keep from crown of the head to the tailbone nice and long. You support this by drawing the belly up and in, front ribs in, back ribs wide. Now Lane is going to keep her fingertips on the floor, and she's going to show you what that looks like. So the fingertips are going to tent. She's going to straighten the arms. Again, her head doesn't hyperextend either, so she keeps the back of the neck long. So think about the front of the chin going into the front of your throat. So both sides of your neck are the same length. Good. Back ribs still stay wide. Take a full nice breath in here where you are. And then as you breathe out, release back into forward fold. Bend the knees as much as you want. Let the head go. Now one more time, let's take an inhale. Come to a flat back. Either tent the fingertips or palms to the shins. Long spine, breathing in. And then on the exhale, release back into a forward fold. Coming into a lunge, we're going to step our left foot to the back of the mat, as far as it will go. And now if your hands are forward of the front foot, two options. Walk your hands back or scoot that front leg forward. I didn't really prepare these ladies so that they would be in the best alignment to get into this lunge. That's my fault. But you can see that they both adjusted as they needed to. Now you're going to drop your back knee down to the floor, untuck your back toes. Now press the top of the back foot, back shin into the mat. Press the front foot down and now squeeze the front heel and the back knee towards one another. Feel that the lower belly will engage when that happens, and then you'll reach your arms up overhead. This is Anjaneyasana, crescent lunge pose. It's a way to step back to start to get towards the back of the mat. And from here, again, big engagement of the legs. Top of the foot, top of the back shin. Think about the right hip, which is the front one, that outer hip rolling down. Front left hip maybe rolls forward slightly. Use those legs like crazy. They should be burning. Back ribs stay nice and wide. If you want, you can look up. Maybe the hands come to touch. If that's comfortable and you just watch the neck, keep that long. Whatever you do, take one more breath here. And then as you exhale, hands come back down to frame the front of your foot, and we're coming into plank. Tuck the back toes, press the ball of the left foot into the mat, step your right foot back to meet your left. So here we go, plank pose. If you watch the first video, we set up the hand placement in tabletop position. Do that here. If you're hyper bendy, make sure to keep a slight bend to those elbows. Really engage through the index knuckle, that front hand. Always welcome to drop the knees. Widen the back of your neck. Good. Press up into my hand, Elena. Very nice. So really imagine that someone is having their hand here and lift up. Same with you, Melissa. Go press up into my hand. Beautiful. Good. Tailbone to the backs of the heels. Reach through the inner heels. Firm up your quads. Take one more deep breath in. Exhale, child's pose. We know this one. Drop your knees. Bring your toes to touch. Press back seat to your heels. So plank pose, even though it seems like a relatively simple shape, there's a lot that's going on in plank pose. We'll touch on it quite a bit in the retreat. It's a great pose for building strength and stability. Okay, so this next pose that we're going to do, it's a transition pose to get you onto your belly. It doesn't have a name. But it continues to work with the spinal mobility. So Elaine and Melissa are going to demo it. I'm going to talk through a few key points, but it's a continuous movement, so we'll do it a few times and just do your best to follow along. So your feet stay as they are, tops of the feet on the mat. Arms extend, reach them forward, and really press the palms down. Those are a big key foundation here. And you're going to start by pressing into the tops of the feet, into the hands, and start to come up through a cat spine. So pull the navel in, point your tailbone down, really find strength, and then from here start to go forward, 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 forward. Now start to bend the elbows back, let your thighs land, let your pelvis land. Pull your hands back and slowly start to let the tops of your rib cage. Beautiful, you guys. Keep the neck long, Melissa, so look forward more so. Good. Pull the hands back and continue to allow the top of your spine to melt down to the floor. Good. Keep the neck long, and then the forehead will find the mat. That's the very, very last thing to happen. So nice, ladies. From here, cobra pose. So now that you're on your belly, two options for your legs. Elena has her feet, big toes touching, perfectly fine. Melissa has her feet staying hip width distance, perfectly fine. Just whatever you do, press the legs into the mat as best you can. Tops of the feet, inner thighs roll up, outer calves roll up. Reach through your inner heels nice and long. And now from here, pubic bone, that's the front bone of your pelvis, press that lightly down into the mat. But can you find the widening of the glutes here? So many times you want to clench the bum. Can you widen out through there? Wrists underneath the elbows. Keep the back of your neck long here. So oftentimes you want to crunch the neck. Keep the back of the neck long and start to come into cobra pose. So press into your hands, drag your hands back. And that is what lifts the heart forward and up. And you don't have to come up very far at all. Shoulder heads stay lifted. Again, back of the neck stays long. So it's not going to be nearly as far up looking as you might think. Good, ladies. Hands keep pulling back like you're going to slide the heart forward. Press into the feet, widen the glutes as best you can. Stay here for one more deep breath in. Now, as you exhale, tuck your toes under. Press back your seat right onto your heels. Keep your hands where they are. Arms will extend. I call this puppy dog pose. So it's like a half dog pose. Exactly, ladies. Good. Hands are the foundation. Feet are the foundation. From here, lead with the crown of your head. Come straight into a plank pose. Lift the knees up at the same time. When you're ready, this is your inhale. Crown of the head stays long. Tailbone lengthens. Firm up your thighs. Engage the quads like crazy. Take a nice inhale. Downward facing dog. Another big one. Press into the hands. Lift the hips up and back. And now if your feet are not like you like them for down dog, which is for most people, hips width distance, adjust your feet. Hands, we've covered them. Index knuckle stays firm. Press in, forward, and down on the mat. Let your ears and biceps stay in the same plane, or you can drop your head to the floor. Whatever feels comfortable for you here. Widen the back of your heart. It's another thing that you can't actually do, but it's an energetic feeling that will help you engage certain muscles. And then really think about lifting your hips up and shooting them back. Nice, ladies. Front ribs stay in. Oftentimes you want to dump into the front of the body, but engage through the lower core. Downward facing dog. This one is technically a resting pose, but there's a lot going on. Very much a full body engaged posture here. You can take as many breaths as you feel comfortable. And then from here, there's two ways to get forward to the front of the mat. Actually, there's many ways to get forward. We're going to show you two here today. Melissa is going to walk her feet to a forward fold. Elena is going to step her right foot to her right thumb, her left foot forward, and she's going to come into a forward fold that way. You can again drop the head, you can bend the knees as much as you want. I really encourage the knees to stay somewhat bent. She knew exactly what I was doing. You're going to make sure to shift forward so that the weight does not just drop straight into the heels. And then roll yourself up. Bend your knees, find your feet. Keep your chin into your chest. Tailbone leads the way, belly pulls in, back ribs stay wide. Nice, ladies. And then when you're ready, arms circle up and overhead. Maybe you pray, you can look up if you like. Take a nice full inhale. This time, bring your hands together in front of your heart as you exhale. And think about growing taller as your arms come down. And then release your arms by your side. So we've got the other side of lunge to do, and that's Surya Namaskar A. We'll go through this side a little bit faster. How do you ladies feel?
Great.
Good. Okay. So when you're ready, Tadasana, maybe take a moment to stack if you'd like. If you want to come forward, you can. If you're fine where you are, that's perfectly okay. Oh yeah, you stacked so that she didn't hit each other's arms. Very smart. Okay, when you're ready, inhale, the arms will lift up and overhead. And then exhale, arms by your other side, chin to your chest. You're going to go right into your roll down.
They go to the side.
They go, no, okay, should we just roll down? Because I was going to do inhale, exhale into the roll.
Oh, that's fine, that's fine.
Does that work?
I didn't
Okay.
visualize it.
I know, I
Gotcha.
made it up in a moment. It's okay.
Cool.
Okay, so we're starting with our second round. So when you're ready, inhale, the arms will reach up and overhead. As you exhale, arms come by your side, bend your knees, chin to your chest, start your roll down. Maybe you go a little bit faster if you like. Keep the weight in the feet, crown of the head leads the way. That's a really nice, good full exhale. When you're ready, inhale into a flat back, whether that's fingertips find the mat or maybe your palms come to your shins, but don't crank the back of the neck. Keep that super long and extension out from your tailbone. Your next exhale releases yourself down to the mat. And this time, it's the right foot that takes a nice big step to the back of the mat. And again, you can either step your left foot a little bit farther forward or you can walk your hand back. Tap your back knee down, untuck your back toes. Before you lift up, engage your legs. So hug them towards one another. Find your core and then reach your arms up and overhead, crescent lunge. There's a lot going on in this. We'll touch on it quite a bit in the retreat. Left outer hip rolls back. Good. Right outer hip rolls forward. And really hug those legs in. It should all feel like it's coming in towards the center, which helps you to lift up and back. Stay for one more nice breath in. Exhale right into plank pose. So from that strength that you were feeling in your core in the crescent, just keep that action. Tuck your back toes, step your left foot to meet your right, and right away firm up your thighs, tailbone towards your inner heels, push the crown of your head forward, get longer, and then big lift through the back of the heart. Press into my hands, ladies, and pull the low belly up. Take a nice inhale. Exhale, tap your knees down, untuck the toes, child's pose, send your hips back to your heels. We're just staying here for one breath in and one breath out. Coming into that kind of curly roll spine thing. So inhale through a cat spine, pull the belly in, and then take your time. Thighs land to the floor, pelvis lands to the floor. Pull your arms back like crazy, 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 crazy. Good, bend the elbows, bend the elbows. Yes, take your heart forward, 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 forward. Neck stays long, forehead is the last thing to land. That is really hard to do slow. Press the tops of your feet into the floor. Cobra pose. Pull your hands back to lengthen, lift the chest. Widen the glutes. Keep the front of your throat, back of your neck the same length. Take a nice big inhale here. Right into tucked toed puppy dog pose. So tuck the toes, seat to the heels, press your hands back, bend the knees. Press your hands forward rather to send your hips back. That's your exhale. Inhale comes right into plank pose. Firm up those legs as soon as you get there. Think about lengthening crown of the head forward, heels back. This is your full breath in. Downward facing dog is your exhale. Hips press up and back. Firm up through the index knuckle. Widen the back of the heart. And then when you're ready, you'll walk to the front of the mat. Maybe you take a little hop, which we didn't get into, but it's fun to do sometimes. Or you step the left foot to the left thumb, right foot to the right thumb. Find another flat back, lengthen as you breathe in. As you exhale, release, forward fold. Roll yourself up. Start with the feet, bend the knees, tailbone down, belly in. Really use your core here. Feel the feet into the mat. Arms will circle up and overhead when you're ready. That's a nice big inhale. Keep the back of the ribs nice and wide as you do. And then bring your prayer to the front of your heart and get longer through the body as your hands come down. So that is Surya Namaskar A. Ladies, you have any questions?
No, I feel like I finally understand it.
Awesome. Hopefully you guys were able to take what you learned here and you can apply it off the mat to other things.
Thanks for joining us. We hope to see you again for our third series.